All right, so I want to begin with this question because it speaks of tonight and tomorrow. So let me read it out loud. Dear Rabbi, since tonight is Rosh Chodesh, can you please shed some light on this month of Adar and why it is so special? So indeed, tonight, as we speak, tonight, tomorrow, and also tomorrow night and on Shabbat, we'll be celebrating Rosh Chodesh, ushering in this new Hebrew month of Adar. This month of Adar is indeed a special month, like you are writing right here, because it is a month in which we consider that our mazel is enhanced, our luck is doubled, multiplied this month. And the reason for that is because we learn from the story of Purim that although one of the worst decrees against the Jewish nation was issued by the evil Haman, God was able to overturn his decree in the most miraculous yet natural way. And the fortune of the Jewish people was turned around. We were victorious. Not only did thank God, he was not able to carry out his final solution, which would have meant that we wouldn't be here tonight. But he also ensured that the Jewish people rose to power. Mordechai was appointed in lieu of Haman as advisor to the king, and the glory of the Jewish people was restored. So it's a month in which our fortune really is enhanced and overturned for the good. And therefore the sages say that really this is a month in which each of our mazals shines upon us, to the point that even Jewish law says that if a person has a court case, he should try to schedule it during this month, because he'll have more mazel for his court case, and he'll maybe have more chances to win. In addition to that, the sages also teach that when this month comes in, that we have to increase in happiness. We spoke a little bit about this during our class on Wednesday. By the way, this alludes to the idea that we should always be happy. It doesn't say that when Adar comes in, you should be happy. You should increase in happiness, which means that happiness should be the status quo. It's the moral duty of every human being to be happy. We should just increase in the happiness during this month because of the great blessings that God has in store for us during this month. Also this month, on the 7th, to be more particular, on the 7th day of this month, it is the month in which Moses was born and his yahrzeit and died 120 years later on this day, on the 7th of Adar. In fact, because he was born, the Talmud says, that's why, in a way, this mazel is enhanced. It's a day in which the greatest leader of all times of the Jewish people was born, alluding again to the idea that this month brings about some of the greatest blessings. So it is indeed a very special month. Just to go into the name of the month itself, Adar. I know some people that are named Adar, and we actually had a bris in the community about 2 months ago, and the baby boy was named Adar Daniel. So it's an actual name given to people. It's a beautiful name. But the name Adar really means God dwells, because if you divide the word into two, you have the letter Aleph, and you have the word Dar, which Aleph represents God, the only one, and Dar means to dwell. I think we spoke about this on Wednesday too. And that's when God dwells, maybe more presently, more robustly than in any other month. And I really hope, that's the significance of the month. I hope I answered the question, but I hope that as we indeed usher in this new month of Adar, a month of tremendous happiness and great mazel, a month of immense blessings for the Jewish people, that we should all experience God's revealed blessings in the most abundant way possible, both individually and collectively. And this Rosh Chodesh Adar should bring about the ultimate redemption to each and all. Because, Jordan, how does it go? Because what?
The time has come.
Time has come. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Excellent. All right. That's question one. Next question for tonight. So, this is just a detailed question here.
Actually, Rabbi, before you jump into that,
yes,
on the same issue on happiness, it's an issue that we've been struggling with. To pursue happiness is pursuing an end. To achieve happiness, you have to pursue the steps to get to happiness. I argue with my sons that they should pursue happiness, and they say, no, I need to pursue meaning. I need to do something different that will, and the result of that will enable me to be happy. But to pursue happiness is a diversion
Right.
from reality.
No, it's a good point. Let's first make the distinction between joy and happiness, or in Hebrew, between osher and simcha. And joy is really a feeling. And it's usually joy, that feeling is caused from outside circumstances. So I won the lottery, I feel joy. Someone gave me good news, I feel joy. But it's dependent on outside circumstances. Happiness is something that we create from within. How do we create it? Not by pursuing happiness, I would agree with your sons, but rather by fulfilling our deeper self, actualizing our purpose. I think self-fulfillment leads to happiness. Happiness might be a feeling, but it's a feeling that's dependent on outside sources. True happiness, and that again is probably joy, not happiness, but true happiness that comes from within is a byproduct of self-fulfillment. The more I fulfill my deeper self, my purpose, the more I'll be happy. The more I suffocate myself, my deeper self and my purpose, and don't live according to my God-given purpose in life, then the less I'll be happy. So, Mishenichnas Adar marbim besimcha, when the sages tell us that we should increase in happiness, maybe they're also telling us to go deeper into this, and I'm glad you bring this up. They're also telling us that this is a month in which the Jews need to be Jews. That's what happened during the month of Purim. Mordechai refused to bow down to Haman. And that self-fulfillment, that fulfillment of your own self, your own Jewish identity, eventually is what gave birth to this tremendous happiness. And maybe this is why, again, this idea of happiness is attached specifically to this month, not just to tell us that it's a month of happiness, but it's to tell us that if we follow Mordechai's model and fulfill ourselves as Jews and also as individuals, then we'll be able to increase happiness. Then marbim besimcha. So good point. Thank you for bringing it up. Yeah. Okay. Next question. So, hi, Rabbi, can you please explain when shopping for kosher food what the D after the U means? I know what the U means, but I don't understand the D, and why it's okay for some people keeping kosher to just accept the U as kosher, but not eat foods that have a D next to it. So it's a good question. So the D stands for dairy. It just shows that a certain product is dairy, comes from milk product. Now, some people, first of all, let me make it very clear that these products, if they have that OU and then the D that follows, then it's kosher. OU means that it's kosher. We just have to keep in mind that it's dairy, and it's important to know that it's dairy because we all know that we can't mix meat and milk. We can eat them together. We have to wait 6 hours after eating meat to eat dairy. So it's important to know that the products that we have, that we are about to eat, are dairy, to ensure that we don't mix meat and milk. But you are right. There are some people who would not eat the OUDs. Why? Because there is a custom, which is more of a stringent custom, to only eat milk products that were completely supervised from the time the milk came out of the cow, really, until the milk was manufactured and then mass produced and marketed, that it was supervised completely by a Jew, lest the milk was mixed with non-kosher materials, maybe non-kosher milks or non-kosher ingredients to enrich the taste of the milk. So some people say that you really need to have supervision from the time the milk came out of the cow until it was marketed. And that's called Chalav Yisrael, milk of Jews, milk supervised by a Jew. The OUD alludes to the idea that it's kosher, but that it was not supervised, unless, again, it says Chalav Yisrael. And for some people won't eat that. Now, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, who was a great halakhic authority of this past generation, he was famous for making this ruling that in America, at least, then we can drink or eat dairy products that were not supervised by Jews, even though those who have the custom to eat only chalav v'shor should stick to it and have good reasons to stick to it. But that he allows it if it's too hard for people. Why? Because you have FDA regulations and no milk is mixed with other types of ingredients. So he permitted it. And therefore, many people don't need that Chalav Yisrael stamp. But that's the idea behind the OUD.
Rabbi, the OU stands for Orthodox Union.
Orthodox Union, that's correct. Yeah, and it's only one of many, many, thank God, we have many kosher certifications today. OU is one of them. You have the OK, you have the Star K, you have many others. Okay, next question. Dear Rabbi, I'm not sure if this is an appropriate question to ask you. It is, and therefore I'm mentioning it. Can you explain the mindset of the ultra-Orthodox not to obey the safe distancing and reducing the numbers in social gatherings? I'm wondering if there's a religious aspect as to why they won't follow the recommended safety guidelines. Okay, good question. So first, I wouldn't generalize. I wouldn't say that it's ultra-Orthodox. I think there's parts of, just like it is in everything else. There's groups within the ultra-Orthodox movement. And again, it's a label I can't stand like any other label, but we have to use it because that's what the media uses. There are groups that don't necessarily adhere to the social distance guidelines. And I personally think it's wrong. I personally think that it's also a type of Chilul Hashem, desecrating God's name. Jews have to be models of society and they're not modeling the best of society. But to give them the benefit of the doubt and to follow the recommendation of our ethics of our fathers to always judge people favorably, I would say that I know that the COVID-19 has hit those segments of society very, very hard. I do know that most of these people were struck with COVID-19, and I believe that they go out thinking that they have antibodies and therefore they're immune and therefore they don't need the social guidelines. Now, is it good for them to make those independent decisions? No. Is it a good model for Jews? No. I think that's the worst part of it all, that it doesn't give us such a good name, because unfortunately we fall into generalizations. And I mean, I think Jew haters will hate us no matter what. They just try to find excuses, so they'll jump on that. But it's still not Jews being model citizens. So I think it's wrong, but I will again want to emphasize that from their standpoint, they have antibodies, so they justify it in their minds, which maybe medically can or cannot justify it. I'm no expert, but certainly it also belongs to the people who do not adhere to the guideline. I think are not masses, but really certain groups within ultra-Orthodoxy and other groups too. Anyhow, that's to answer that question. That's really my 2 cents. All right, next question. Find it right here. Okay, and this is really the last question of the night, and I will open this up to any other question you may have. But dear Rabbi, I am a Muslim, but I have many Jewish friends. I was recently invited to a Jewish home for a Friday night meal and was surprised by the Kiddush ceremony, which involved saying prayers over a glass of wine. In my religion, wine is forbidden. Does Judaism honestly believe that such a sensual indulgence can be considered holy? So it's a great question. And I think that it goes really to the very root of one of the great secrets of Judaism. Because in a way, there are 2 ways to deal with this world, especially with materialism or the physicality of this world. One way is to divorce ourselves from it. And the other way is really to use it as a vehicle for holiness. Many religions, and I'm not too familiar with the Muslim religion, I mean, I read the Quran once, etc., but I do believe that the Buddhist religion is a little bit like this, and some maybe the Muslim religion too. Some religions say that really for human beings to be refined, for us to become more spiritual, and for our soul to always be victorious over our body, we need to divorce ourselves from this world. This world is all too powerful. The seductions of this world and temptations of this world are too big for the soul. And therefore, we should remove ourselves from it. And therefore, don't drink wine. In Catholics, Catholic priests don't get married. and so on and so forth. Remove yourself from this world as much as possible. Judaism is not of that opinion. Judaism is of the opinion that God put us in this world for a reason. Otherwise, he would have left us in the heavens. Put us in this world for us to engage with this world and to refine this world. And by refining this world, we refine ourselves. How so? Everything in this world can be used for good or for bad. And it's the task of every Jew, and dare I say of every human being, to really channel everything in this world for holiness. So wine can be bad. It can be destructive. I know people who have addictions to alcohol, and that's terrible. But if it's used in a holy context, and if it's used for God, and if we say a blessing over it, and if we do kiddush over it, kiddush, by the way, means to sanctify, then we are sanctifying even that lowly matter of life, even this wine that might be destructive and dangerous in other contexts, in another context. So that's the Jewish approach. I want to connect this, actually, it's very apropos because I want to connect this to this week's portion. It's fascinating. If you read the end of this week's portion, you read about, again, the giving of the Torah Mount Sinai and how the Jewish people proclaimed that we will do and we will listen. We are so committed that even if we don't listen, if we don't understand the Torah, we'll still do it. They first said we will do. And then it says that Vayichezu et Elohim, they saw God. And listen to this, in the same breath, Vayichezu et Elohim, same sentence, same verse. Vayochlu vayishtu, and they ate and they drank. Now imagine being in a meeting with the most important president in the world, and you're in a state of ecstasy. You're going to take out your hot dog and eat, your lunchbox and eat. What does it mean? They saw God and they ate. You see God, you don't want to eat. You're on such a high, you can't eat. It's almost like Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Berditchev would say that there's a difference between Tisha B'Av, the saddest day of the year in which we fast, and Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year, in which we also fast. He said on Tisha B'Av, we're so sad, who can eat? And on Yom Kippur, we're so holy and we're so angelic that who wants to eat? So who wants to eat when you're so angelic? That's really the question on this verse. But I think in this verse, we see again one of the great secrets of Judaism. And that is that, yes, if you're up high on a mountain and you're in a state of ecstasy and you feel spiritually awakened, then God wants you to take all of that baggage of holiness and bring it down to the level of this world. Go and eat, go and drink, go and translate this spiritual baggage into a physical existence. Go bring heaven down to earth. That's what Judaism is about. And therefore they ate, therefore they drank. Judaism is not about, sitting in our comfort zones or staying in our own spiritual zones and forgetting about the world. Quite the opposite, it's engaging the world with it. And I'll conclude just with the story that comes to mind about the Rabbi of Lodz, Poland. Forget his name, but the Rabbi of Lodz, Poland, some 300 years ago, was fundraising for the poor of his city. And he went to this, in a bitter cold day of the winter, he went to one of the wealthy Jews of the town and he knocked on his door. And the wealthy Jews goes open the doors and sees the rabbi of the town. He says, Rabbi, what do you want? Come in, it's freezing cold outside. The rabbi says, no, I'll stay here. He says, why stay here? He says, I'll stay here, I'll stay here. If you want, you can go get your coat. He went and he got himself a coat, it was so cold. And he says to the rabbi, now you have to tell me, why did you come? Why are you staying here? And the rabbi said, well, I came to fundraise for the poor of our city. They need money, they need food for Shabbat, they need food to eat. And if I was to come to your home, then you wouldn't have felt what they are feeling right now. I wanted you to come and feel the cold because they don't have enough money to buy wood. They don't have enough money to have heat in their home. And once you will be able to come out of your home, of the comfort of your home and feel the cold, then maybe you'll be a little more generous. Then you'll understand them and you'll open up your heart. And in a way, that's really the goal of Judaism, is to come out of our homes and share the light of Judaism and the warmth of Judaism to the entire world. Even if that means that we have to eat, even if that means that we have to drink wine, even if that means that we have to engage in marital relationships, even if that means that we have to pay bills and so on and so forth. Because that's the beauty, creating this bridge between heaven and earth to the point that they come so close that they kiss, that they become one.